In a spoofing-based attack, bystanders are co-opted as passive actors in the response. It's just their existence and their ability to receive responses. In a botnet, bystanders are co-opted more directly, turned into active participants into an attack. A botnet is based on a bunch of devices spread around the internet that are gradually amassed by breaking into them. It can be as simple as scanning them to discover that they exist and trying some known passwords or trying some known buffer overflow attacks to gain access to the system. And then these bots are not used immediately. Instead, they are just part of the botnet, waiting until some work is needed to be done by the attacker. The attacker launches those bots into action from some bot master using intermediate command and control servers to distribute the request among all the owned bots. This is a distributed denial of service attack because the attack to the victim is coming from many different machines spread out over all the internet, and that is how the attacker is able to gain leverage. So it's similar to some sort of spoofing attacks like the memcached one, where the problem boils down to insecure bystanders, but in this case, those bystanders are being exploited and turned into active participants of the attack. So when this botmaster sends out commands to all of these bots, they can suddenly come to life and send out too much data to the victim. Once again, there's not much that a victim can do here because they're getting requests from all over, which is indistinguishable from their normal mode of operation, getting requests and helpfully replying to those requests. So the problem is all of these computers here that can be broken into and put into the botnet. So what are these computers and why are they so vulnerable? Well, originally, in the early botnet days, most of them were home computers running operating systems that were not hardened against attack from the internet. They were designed to be on desktop computers in a home or in an office in a relatively cooperative networking environment. And so not having the pressure of an uncooperative environment, these operating systems had a lot of holes and bugs and security flaws in them. And gradually the knob was turned up on updating and proactive patching of these operating systems. So as you're well familiar, newer operating systems that you might use on home computers, they are all the time asking to be updated to download security patches, and they have better configuration defaults and are maintained more defensively to help solve this problem. So home desktop computers and other laptops, these tend to be less of a problem for botnets these days. Instead, we have all these other devices that are much less powerful, but also more plentiful and less rigorously maintained. So we're thinking of cameras and routers and even refrigerators that connect to the internet. These Internet of Things devices, they tend to run stripped-down versions of Linux, and they often still are just configured with their default password. And so what attackers do is simply try to find devices that are willing to respond on the internet, and then they try to log in using these default passwords, as well as other techniques like exploiting buffer overflow bugs in known and widely used services of these stripped-down operating system installations. Many botnets these days are based on the Mirai malware. Mirai is a pile of software that does this scanning and infection of devices and can be used by multiple bad actors who build up botnets. Even now, at the time of recording, Mirai-based botnets continue to be a problem. You can try a search on Mirai botnet news to see if things are still happening in your world. The way Mirai works is that it just guesses at addresses and ports and tries to make connections to those. And when it discovers that a machine exists, then it'll just try logging in with some default passwords that it knows are popular. One of the obvious in retrospect, but also clever things that Mirai does is that it cleans out other malware. So it actually scrubs the system of other bad actors before installing itself. And then, in addition to being ready to accept commands from the botmaster, it participates in active recruitment of other bots. It scans nearby peers to look for new machines and also to reinfect ones that it has known before, because if you unplug your refrigerator and plug it back in, that reboots the OS, that may clear out the software, and so Mirai wants to make sure that it stays reinfected. Some experiments have been done with infected hosts, and when they were reset and restarted, they became reinfected within minutes. So this is part of why these botnets are so effective.